What?
We're live.
Oh shit.
So
Wait,
just say
why?
just
Wait,
say hi. Hello.
what the hell? Why don't we have?
Oh my god, just say hello. They can see you.
All right. Well, you know what? Never mind. Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps, it is I, your host with the most Renaissance man who always thinks he can, and your champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back once again in the Art of Streams for another edition of the Raw Rewind, brought to you by Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights off. And it's not just me, Patty P, here in the Art of Streams. I am joined, as always, by the best of the West. You can't forget about Sarah Marshall. What's popping, girl?
Hey yo.
Hello.
Hello. What the fuck? What was that?
I don't know.
What?
They weren't there. I just fixed it for you.
I
So.
appreciate that. I'm very confused.
I see
That's
that.
kind of, I feel like that's how a lot of people's day started with the holiday yesterday. I had 3 people at work today ask me what day it was. And then at my
Oh.
personal training session, I said something like, "Oh yeah, Tuesdays are crazy." It's like, "Wait, today's not Monday." I'm so confused. So, yeah, one of those weird days after holiday. Nada, I mean, Sarah.
Solo Sokoa is my tribal chief. I know that I have been
well,
saying that, like,
okay.
people are like, oh, you're a diehard fan of Solo. I want to say I'm a diehard fan of Solo, but I'd love me some Solo Sokoa. And I am going to continue being the conductor of that train. So when you guys eventually jump on the Solo Sokoa bandwagon, you better come
That's
and
great.
bow down to your tribal queen, because that is
Okay.
me.
It's
Okay.
not me. He's gaslighting the shit out of my dude Jacob for 2.
Yeah, no, it's been what? How long have I been? I've Solo has
No,
been
I'm
my
gonna give you that. You've been like when he was just the enforcer of the
Yes.
bloodline. You were like, that's the tribal chief.
Yeah, and I said he was my favorite
Later.
member of the bloodline besides Jimmy. So I'm just saying, because he's getting some giggles from the fans. People are like, "Oh my god, Solo is so funny." We're like seeing this different side of him, and I'm like, "Get in the back, bitches." Okay, I've been running hard for this guy. Same thing. It's like us with Karrion Kross. To the back.
Oh, jeez.
To the back of the line. Okay.
Yeah, we're right up in front. Solo has really done well on the mic, and I know a lot of people have their thoughts about his in-ring ability. Like, who cares? In my eyes, that will come. He is young. We have to remember that not all these dudes are in their 40s. Like the top talent. A lot of these wrestlers, superstars are young.
Well, and
they're
he got
going to
brought out
be
of NXT quite early
very
because
quick.
they wanted him to be in the bloodline. He shouldn't have been
Exactly.
brought up yet.
No, he should have still been NXT, but that's what happens when, life's about
You're
knowing
part of the
people.
bloodline.
Well, it's about who you know, not what you know. So, and so with that, you got to take that into consideration. All right. And it's all right, guys. Solo will be just fine. All right. But I don't want to, we're going to talk a lot about WWE. All right. I do want to bring this up because this is just fucking bananas. Not only was it a WWE filled weekend with Saturday night's main event, NXT Battleground in Tampa as well. Trick Williams, new TNA World Champion.
Crazy.
We live in an unreal timeline.
It had to happen.
It does make sense.
It's because they've done a few title matches between TNA and WWE, and if they just kept doing it where whichever champion retained, it looks like there's no point of putting titles on the line between the brands. So it's like somebody had to win a championship, and I think to make the biggest impact, it made sense for it to be, no pun intended, it had to be the TNA championship that was put on an NXT talent. So I'm into it.
I'm into it for what they're doing. I see them as Joe Hendry was untouchable. I mean, he's the TNA World Champion. He obviously has gone through the entire roster, but not only that, he's making appearances for WWE at the Royal Rumble. He's facing Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Like, there is no touching this guy. So when you think you are unstoppable, something like Trick Williams taking your title when you least expect it is perfect. And the way
Mhm.
that they are going to go about it, Shawn Michaels is a very smart man. All right. And I know they've been doing a great job in TNA with that revival from Impact, obviously TNA and the whole partnership. We're gonna be fine. All right.
I
I
think
just let it play out, enjoy the ride.
I think it also helps Trick Williams so that he can be exposed to another company and a bunch more talent and like really solidify himself as like a top dog um
Exactly.
in
Like
NXT. So
did you think that right now into NXT that Trick Williams didn't really fit into the title picture and he really wasn't feuding with anyone else? So you're like, what is there left to do but call him up?
I mean, I feel like that's what it seemed like, especially when we're talking about the past few years. The draft has been historically right after Mania,
Hmm.
but I didn't think that Trick was ready. Kind of similar to
Hmm.
the what we were even just talking about when we were talking about Braun Breaker. Like it made sense for them to keep him down for another year, even though we felt like maybe he could have been called up already. I think that Trick screamed like he needs another year to reach that level because they haven't really explored the depths of him being a heel yet. Like we have gotten a little bit of a glimpse of it, but they haven't really fully dove in. And so it's like I kind of want to see that from him and see how he can pull that off. Because I think he could be like a great baby face, obviously.
Oh,
But
he's
if they can kind of see that other side of him exactly the same way that they did with Braun Breaker, we might see his best work yet. So it feels like he just needs more time to marinate, and then we'll see what he can do.
I do. I want to see
I
it.
want to see them have their best opportunity to like thrive in NXT before they get brought up because I just don't have a lot of confidence with most of the talent in NXT that when they get brought up that they'll be utilized in the same way that they were. Like
Exactly.
other than Stephanie Vaquer, like I just don't have any or Obafemi and Sol Ruka. Those are the only ones that I'm like, yeah, I don't have to worry about them when they get on
So
the roster. But
Ruka,
everybody else,
did you did you see that
yeah. What is
inverted
going on?
450?
What is going on with the PC talent?
I don't
She's
know.
literally has 2 years of experience and that bitch is doing that kind of stuff. Like, girl, what?
That's what I'm saying. Like it's a
I know.
factory down there. It's
Yep.
incredible.
Yeah.
Though I didn't even want to talk about TNA right now. I want to talk about the other top wrestling promotion over on the Turner Network, AEW, because they had a pay-per-view this weekend, Double or Nothing. We gave predictions on our show. Disclaimer, I love AEW. I love that it's an alternative. It is what it is, and they do a good job. They do a good job. Sarah doesn't watch the product except for when we watched it and keeping up with it, obviously on news and clips and yada yada yada, but not a weekly viewer like myself. We did predictions, okay? I got 4 right. All right. Sarah got 7. Granted, we both had the Death Riders winning them in this quasi main event. So I will say, that. But you had Hangman and
Mhm.
yeah, you want to talk about picking with your heart and
Mhm.
picking with your head. They're 2 very different things.
Mhm.
And that kind of explains it.
Mhm. That's what
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, a little bit, Sarah.
Mhm.
Good,
Just
you know
go
what?
off
Good job for you.
vibes. Just go off the vibes.
That's what I do in That's what I do in WWE, kind of.
Yeah.
Not as much, like not like strict down the middle, because obviously we love it. We're gonna be fans. That's why we're here. But like I can do it a lot better with WWE than AEW. I don't know. Interesting. And Mercedes did win, Sarah.
Yes.
Mercedes won.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shocking.
So like, yeah, did that make your weekend?
Of course.
That's what I love to hear. You know what else I love to hear from? The peeps. Sarah, we got to hear from the peeps before we hop into the Wrestleverse and talk about Raw. I wasn't expecting to see Cody either for the most part, but it did feel like we were going to see him quite soon, especially after the rumor breaking of the now announced tag match. It's only a 2-on-2, not a 3-on-3.
I didn't
But
love that though. I didn't love how he's like, "I'll see you at Money in the Bank with this match." It's like,
it was so
what?
old school. It was so old school.
I think
It
part of it
was
is like the
that
2
was it.
weeks between like PLEs. Like, even
Yeah.
though technically Saturday night's main event is not a PLE, it's like if it's kind of treated like one simply because
It's a
it's on
glorified
a
house show.
yeah, but
It's
it's
a
like
glorified house show.
2 weeks ago it was Backlash. 2 weeks from now it's Money in the Bank, and like 2 weeks before Backlash it was Mania. So it's like, geez Louise.
Just
Yeah,
slapped in the face with
there's just a lot.
content.
A
What's
lot.
up, Dickie? How you doing? Good to see you back, Bernard. Fun fact: even though you left the league, still lost to your team on a bullshit field goal. So even though Bernard's not in a league, he's still beating me, which is real tough. The weekend was good though. Sleepy, slept a lot. We slept a lot. I saw Sarah. You're gonna love this. I saw the new Lilo and Stitch.
How was it?
As someone who did not see the first one,
Oh,
but did see obviously spoilers and people who did and were real big fans like yourself. It is different. I went with my girlfriend who is a big fan and did
mhm.
watch it as a kid, and there it is different. There's certain scenes that get
I've already seen a bunch of spoilers from it, but yeah.
okay. So yeah, so there are a bunch of
But I
scenes
don't
that
feel
get
like that
cut.
necessarily would make it bad. Like, some people are saying it's bad. I'm like, it's still Lilo and
No,
Stitch. Come on.
no, that's the thing is that I want to emphasize is that it's not bad. It was a very good story, and out of the remakes that I have seen Disney produce over the past few years, it is easily the best one.
Mhm.
Snow White was fucking garbage. Like
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
little garbage compared
Yeah.
to the original story.
People
Lilo and Stitch still kept that same sentiment of what the foundation of what Lilo and Stitch is.
mhm.
There's just some parts that go along with a remake. Like that's it, really.
I just love Stitch, so that's the other thing that I wanna
You're
be
gonna
like,
love him in this. They do
get
a
on
really
the
good job.
bandwagon, people. I've loved Stitch for so long, and now all of a sudden everyone's like, "I love Stitch," and I'm like, "Get out of
Well,
here.
yeah, it's called recency bias.
Get
They do a
out of
good
here."
job. They do a good job with the animal of him. You know what I mean? Like the way he is.
Mhm.
And the little girl who plays Lilo,
So
she was very good.
she was
Very
Lilo. Like,
convincing.
she is the, human version of Lilo. It's actually kind of scary.
It is great. So go check that out if you have not already. What's up, David? Good to see you. Um, yes, a lot of people are complaining about this. Guys,
Yeah,
they were on NBC. They were
yeah.
on NBC. All right, like
It's just annoying, though.
you got to learn how production works. I'm sorry. And did you see how there was just one logo in the middle of the ring, and
Yeah.
it wasn't a company?
Well, yeah, that's what
It's
they
a
do on
little.
SmackDown.
Well, there you go. There's a little advertising 101 that if you're not seeing it in front of you, you're going to see it in the next 15 to 20 minutes. So, yeah, there you go. I do feel bad for Jamie Hayter too. All right, that's enough nonsense. Sarah, Reina's back in here. What went on Raw?
So, Raw opened up with Bronson Reed, another one. Get on the back.
Yeah,
Get in the back, y'all. Okay.
well, did you expect him to be part of this group?
No, but didn't we kind of talk about it, about the idea of him being like an interesting person to consider?
We did mention him on the show. Yes, we did
Yeah.
mention him. It was just
Um,
I did not expect to see him join the group
yeah.
right now.
No, I was so excited to see him return because it really sucked when he went down at Survivor Series. And, a lot of the time when you're in his position where you're definitely coming up, it sucks when you then get injured because the likelihood of you picking up that speed when you get back is unlikely, as we've seen in WWE in recent history. So the fact that they were like, "Oh, you're coming back. Okay, we'll immediately put you in the biggest new faction right now." And so they formally introduced him as part of the group on Raw. And I really liked that they didn't shy away from people being like, why is Bronson Reed partnering with Seth Rollins after what we saw?
I did
Uh,
love the explanation.
yeah.
I was a big fan
It's like if you can't
of
beat them, join them. Okay. Like I'd rather you be on my side than be my enemy. And it's like,
and
yeah.
that's what they did well in this opening segment was Paul explaining it. They're not shying away from the online chatter that's going on. You know, it has to make sense. Wrestling fans need to be rewarded. So by explaining it, yeah, to the, snob who's like, "Oh, it's like, no, it makes sense." All right.
Yeah.
And the way Heyman explained it, it, it just to me, it felt like, okay, this is a unified group.
Mm-hmm.
This is a
It's the Bronze
unified
and Seth.
basically, yeah.
Bronze and Seth. I loved that they were all in suits. Also, I
I
know
did
that's like
love
another
that. I did
kind of
love
like thing reminiscent of Evolution, but it's not straying too far into cosplay territory because Seth has been wearing suits or like fancier outfits. Heyman is always in a
that.
suit, so it
Paul
just
Heyman's always in a suit.
yeah, so it doesn't feel like that. But if we are going to say that they're kind of like the modern day Evolution, they've completed it because they now have their Batista. So I'm excited.
I did
I don't
like this. I
I
love
don't know
this.
where they go from here, but I am very excited about it. Like
They're going to dominate Raw, and that's okay.
that's
We
what I
we
want.
needed that. Remember when Judgment Day was just taking over Raw every
Mhm.
week? That's what we have been lacking. That fire, like that kind of force or group that takes over. We
Or the
haven't seen
Shield.
that. Yeah, we haven't seen that dominant faction as of late. It's all been top stars and then factions that like are up and coming, like Judgment Day.
Mhm.
We needed this. This
Yeah.
was much needed, and I didn't really realize it till it was in front of me, type of thing.
Yeah. So I'm excited because I think when we were trying to figure out who would make sense for a third man, it didn't feel like there was anyone that screamed, it's him. It has to be him. And I don't know
Mhm.
that we necessarily would have said if Bronson Reed were around that he was that guy.
Correct.
But I think that now that we see him there, it just works. So it's just
No, it
exciting
fits.
because I really think that they um picked good people for this group. So I think Braun and Bronson, it's gonna be exciting to see where they are in like a year from now because of this group.
Mhm. Agree.
Um Anyway, then we moved on to the first match of the night, which was a Money in the Bank qualifier between Penta, Dragon Lee, and Chad Gable.
Match slapped.
This was so good, and you knew it was going to be so good
Oh my god.
because, first of all, it's two luchadors and then a luchador wannabe slash kind of a luchador. I don't know what we're supposed to believe.
I don't know
Um,
what to believe anymore, Sarah. I
but
don't.
what I did think was funny is someone posted that clip of Dragon Lee doing that crazy flip onto the announce table, and they were
Oh,
like,
that was wild.
this was the never put me back in catering again type of match. And I
I
was like,
did.
legitimate though.
When he slammed onto the announce table to Gable,
Hmm.
I actually had the same reaction as Pat McAfee. I did. That was so out of left field, but fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
I yeah, this was so good.
It's just
And
I love the finish. What do you think of the finish?
I like it. Okay, so first of all, I think that if you watch this, I'm not the only one. You were like, all right, it's probably going to be Penta. I thought that we might see Chad Gable, and then I totally forgot that he had already been advertised for Worlds Collide. So I was like, yeah, they're not going to have him in a Worlds Collide match and then 2 hours later put him in a Money in the Bank match. So I didn't even think about that. So I'm happy for Penta to be in this match. I'm happy that Dragon Lee had like another coming out party because I feel like if you give
That
this
was
guy
his
time,
attempt. Yeah, that
if you give
was
this guy time and you put him in there with like a good opponent, like he's going to put on a killer match. He should definitely have a match at Worlds Collide too. Like get the guys that you don't want to use, but you want to like exploit them for being
yeah.
luchadors. go give them the time. That's why like Legado del Fantasma is gonna have a match. Like put Dragon Lee over there. Give Rey Fenix a match or
Yeah,
something. Because
the
like
LWO Vortex really killed Dragon Lee, and that was his attempt
yeah,
at getting out of it last night. He put on a stellar performance.
it was
It was
great.
in the finish. I loved how I mean, we mentioned it. Vikingo,
Yeah.
how Vikingo gets into the match, interferes
And like
because Gable already went at him. Dragon Lee hits it, and then immediately into my favorite move in wrestling history, a Mexican Destroyer for
yeah.
the win. Like that. That's how you kick off Raw. Like that
So
was
good.
very well done.
And then they spoiled the match because Alberto Del Rio will face Vikingo. And then when they were promoting the match between him and Gable, they said it was going to be for that championship. So I will say, as crazy as this is, and normally I would be like, okay, WWE, really? Like, you're spoiling a match, you're giving this away. I am so on board with them just like trying to seemingly cut ties with Alberto or like separate themselves. At least for now, I can give them credit for now. I don't know what the future holds for him in AAA. I don't know if he's going to be around. Like,
Yeah, we're
I
not
mean,
we're not
yeah, I'm
talking
not
about
going to
that.
speculate until it happens. But as
You're
far
correct.
as this goes, I think that this is the right move because if you want more eyes on Worlds Collide and AAA moving forward, then you need to try and make sure that you're not starting off on the wrong foot. And Alberto Del Rio has a reputation, especially from WWE fans. So, like, if you want them to tune in, you don't want this guy around. So taking the title off of him, I think, is brilliant. And also having a title on the line for Worlds Collide is like incredible too, because that just makes people want to watch it even more. And it makes it feel like it actually means something, that it's
Yeah,
not
like
just kind of like, oh, it's the debut of AAA and all these luchadors and that's all I care about. It's like, no, there's actual reason to want to watch it beyond the incredible wrestling.
could you imagine Chad Gable with the hatred that he has for luchadors goes and wins
That would be crazy.
pretty much the luchador title? Like that, like the possibility there makes you want to watch, and the fact that you did spoil this for Alberto Del Rio. I mean, for God's sakes, everyone was saying if he was even going to be part of the partnership when it was announced during WrestleMania week.
Yeah.
Like he brings a very not so good past with him.
Yeah.
So in the way WWE operates right now, they are not just a wrestling company. Okay,
Well,
they
it's
are
also
a
very
global
mirrored with the
presence.
lawsuit. So, because he was
That's the
accused
thing.
of some
Like,
similar things.
oh no, but that's what I mean. Like, a wrestling promotion company could probably sweep it under the rug, and he could still work and yada yada yada. Politics that I don't
Yeah.
understand. But when you're dealing with WWE, that is another animal because they are a global business. They're not just a wrestling company. They do so much more that it would actually be a negative look on their you know, their face. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's all for the best. And to be honest, guys, if you're butthurt about it because you're the wrestling fan, you want to keep that alive. Like, well, why did they spoil it? Like,
It's Alberto Del Rio.
there's always an exception to the rule. Let's put it that way. There's always
And
going to be an exception to the rule.
Alberto's 48. He's not a spring chicken. You know what I
Saint
mean? This
Soul
isn't
Sokoa.
like, I mean, if he didn't have the past that he has, and this is still what happened, like I could say, yeah, that's not cool. You shouldn't have done that. But given his past and a lot of that happened around the time he was in WWE, not to mention, we don't know if WWE has their eye on Saraya because she could be coming back to
No, but that's
WWE.
potentially.
You
Yeah.
don't want to squash that by employing the guy that like ruined her life. You know what I mean? Like not it
Right.
would not be a great look. And like I said, if you want AAA to be a company that's on the map more than it is, then you want it to be taken seriously and you want people to be talking about it in a positive way, not associating it with allegations made towards a man that you very easily don't have to involve in the
Mm-hmm.
company, you know. So um Richard thinks that El Grande will win the title off Vikingo, but not right now in a few months. It
I
would
mean,
be
that's what I mean. Like Chad Gable wins it, or like that's what makes Chad Gable's story of hating luchadors that much better.
What do you think about him winning his first singles title as El Grande though? And it's in
That does
triple and,
suck,
and a
but
AAA title.
mm, yeah,
Like,
that's just
would you
tough.
want to see that?
I mean, to be honest, I don't particularly. I mean, a title's a title. A championship's a championship.
You know what else
Like
I
you
would?
can say, Trick Williams won the TNA championship before he won the WWE one. You know, like
Yeah, but he also
before he won
had
a
been
world.
NXT champion though.
Yeah, but that's another. You could say like, cool. There's so many. I mean, Bo Dallas was
Yeah, but
NXT champion.
Chad Gable
Like,
hasn't even been Intercontinental or US champion.
so that's what I mean. Like, I mean, a belt's a belt.
I guess. What do you think about them like cross promoting the shows like that? Like, what if Gable or El Grande Americano wins the title and it's like, okay, do we like all of that like cross promotion because Trick Williams is going to be the TNA champion? Do we like having these other titles in the company?
Right.
It's very similar to AEW with Ring of Honor. And then, of
Uh,
course, all the titles that Mercedes has.
yeah. No. I'll give you that. It is similar. I don't mind it. You know, partnerships are always good for business, and I mean, if you want to look at it from a WWE perspective, contracts are going to run up. You know, so it's another way to scout talent in
Yeah.
my eye. So I mean, like, and at the end of the day, I'm a wrestling fan. You
Hmm.
know, I'm not just a WWE fan or an AEW fan or a TNA fan. I'm a wrestling fan. Anytime that I'm going to see something good, like other titles and other companies in, happening, and having people ask me this because they're a WWE fan or they follow WWE to a sense,
Hmm.
but they see this, Lucha Libre championship in WWE that they've never seen before when they were watching as a kid. They're going to ask me about it, and then I can, it gives a conversation. And then, maybe they're 9 times out of 10, they may not be interested and just like, oh, that's cool. And then move on with the day. But like, it's like, oh, like, all right, like if it's on, I'll throw it on. You never know. So you got to think of it as like growing the
I
fan base.
also kind of wonder how involved AAA will be with like NXT Mexico.
I think that's what AAA is like going to evolve to.
Yeah, I just wonder if how much talent they'll keep around because I assume that they won't keep everybody. Um, but I wonder how much they will like infuse young talent from Mexico
That's
into
true.
NXT, you know? Um,
We'll have to
because
see
it
that. Yeah.
does feel like, I mean, for the most part, the people in AAA they're not like no names in
No,
the
they're not no
luchador
names. No,
scene, you know?
they're
So,
not.
um, yeah. So the bad guy says, how do y'all feel about WWE putting all these shows up against AEW? Richard said WWE are purposely counter programming AEW. To be honest, I don't really care. It just makes both companies try and put on good shows.
There we
I
go.
don't
There we
know.
go. There we go, Dickie. Good job.
I
Thank
don't
God.
know that they're
Someone gets it.
necessarily purposely doing it. It's like I'm not saying every single one wasn't purposely done to compete with AEW, but like they've been doing stuff on Saturdays. So like they've moved their pay-per-views from Sundays to Saturday, so that's not any different. Because they're doing Worlds Collide on Saturday, then they have to do what are they doing? Money in the Bank on Sunday, right?
No, they're doing
Oh
it
no,
that
it's both
day.
on Saturday.
Both on Saturday.
Evolution's on Sunday. Um, I don't
Oh,
know.
because Saturday night's main event is that Saturday, so they're
Yeah.
doing Evolution on Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that they're necessarily doing it on purpose, but I mean, if it's
I
gonna
mean,
give us better product in both companies, like Richard said, then it's like as a fan of wrestling, or you're loyal to one company or you're loyal to the other. I don't really feel like you can complain. Like
do
if
you,
you get a good show, you get a good show.
for the people who want to complain, I'm gonna just sit your ass down. Do you know why the Attitude Era was so good?
It's because
No, I know you know, but
oh yeah,
like
yeah.
rhetorical. Like, do you know why? Yes, it was because WWE put on an edgier product, and it was because of stars like The Rock, Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, Taker, whatever. But why? Why did they have to get edgier? Because WCW, the competition, was getting edgier and pulling some shady business tactics to get ahead in the ratings. Bischoff was telling the results of Raw on the broadcast because Raw was pre-taped.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have WWF at the time having to do something. All right, this is exactly that scenario. Obviously, different players in the game, different time, whatever. But business is business to stay alive. The beauty of us being wrestling fans is all we have to do is just enjoy, sit back and enjoy it. And what we do like, say that off the top of the rooftops. Say what you do like. And then when there's something that we really don't like, that's you vocalize that too. That's what it's about. That's what be grateful. All right. We went through some shit times with wrestling. All right.
I know
Be
people don't
grateful.
realize how bad it was. They're
It
like,
was
"Oh,
so
WWE's
bad.
on a downward spiral right now," and I'm like, "Shut the fuck up!" Like, there's a lot of stuff that I don't like, and some things it does feel like, "Oh God, what are they doing? Like, this is so bad." But like to act like this is like, I don't know, 2019 bad or like 2011 bad, or
2011 was bad.
I'm just saying,
2019 was
like,
good.
I'm just spitting out random years where it's like it wasn't great. Like, go back and watch that kind of stuff.
2013, like
Pretty bad.
that
Yeah.
was tough.
Yeah.
That was real tough.
So that's what I mean. Like, they don't get it, but whatever.
Ooh.
All right. So then first of all, we saw the return of Liv Morgan finally, who said, "Konnichiwa, bitches," and I was like, "Queen." Um, and she walked in on what appeared to be somewhat of an intimate moment between Roxanne, who
It
brought
was weird.
another box full of chicken nuggies for Daddy Dom, and then noticed that he looked a little tense in his shoulder and was trying to give him a little shoulder rub. And so Liv was not having it. So now we're going to have this dynamic because Dom was trying to play it off like, oh, nothing was going on. Liv lets him know, hey, Raquel has been filling me in since I've been gone and letting me know all about your sneaky shenanigans. So, like, don't you worry.
Yeah,
And
that's Dom's in the doghouse.
I am so conflicted about this story because for the past year and a half or whatever it's been, I have loved Liv and Dom together. I love, like, I don't know. I just love their energy, their chemistry, just like they're funny, they're entertaining. So the idea of that ending, I hate it because I'm like, oh, they're so good. I just love this. And I feel like they've brought out the best in each other. But then it's like, on the other hand, I think that there's an argument to be made that like Liv has outgrown the group, like Judgment Day. You could argue that she would be better to just go and do her singles thing. Seeing Dom leave Liv for another girl in a similar fashion to how he left Rhea is like hilarious because this is a
It's Latino
mustache.
cheese.
Yeah, it's just like it's
Go on.
hilarious. And so that is kind of funny. The only issue that a big issue I would have is just that it's repeating something that we've already seen, and I'm not sure how they could make it different from the first time enough for anybody to really be invested in it, if that makes sense. Um, if we just inevitably get like Roxanne versus Liv, then I'm into it because those are two teeny little princesses, and I want to see them fight because they would put on a banger match. Um, but I just don't know if I want to see it be a feud over Daddy Dom. I don't know. I don't think I want that.
I mean, I wouldn't mind him doing some like Eddie Guerrero type shit and flip flopping, but it will get old. I would rather just see them kind of go their separate ways. I want your thoughts on this because let's talk
Mm,
about it. Plot twist: Raquel turns on Liv and teams with Roxanne. Liv turns face with Dom to fight with Finn and the rest of Judgment Day. Okay, so the first part of that, fantastic. We love that. But I kind of see Finn going away and doing his own thing. And like JD McDonough may join him because that's like A1 day one. but like Carlito's gone.
I
You
just
know, like it's gone.
I think it's just like trying to figure out all of the changes that would come from like a Judgment Day implosion. That's the thing that worries me a little bit because they're on TV every single week. Even if people are like, I don't care about the Judgment Day, they're so boring, blah, blah, blah. They're on every single week. That is not something that we could have said like 2 years ago about Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, Liv Morgan, like JD McDonough. Like, this is not something that we could say. So it worries me that if they were to disband, what that would mean for all involved, basically, other than Dom and Liv, because they're going to be on
Mhm.
TV every week. They've gotten
They're
to that
top
point.
stars. They're top stars.
Yeah. I don't necessarily hate Raquel joining Roxanne. Um, but who would Liv like go against Raquel and Roxanne with if we're talking about another woman? Like, who would that be? I do like the idea of Finn being a babyface again because I feel like they don't know how to use him as a heel. And he was, oh my gosh, I was watching we were watching old Royal Rumbles over the weekend with my nephew,
Yeah.
and we watched, which one did we watch? I don't know, like 2017. I don't know. It was the one that Nakamura won. 2017, 2019. Can't remember.
2018.
Whatever. Okay, something in between. Um, and that was when Finn comes out, you know, in his leather jacket to the iconic theme, and everybody is standing up to his song. And I was like, this is the Finn I miss because you guys have really bombed his heel turn. So, um, yeah, I don't know. Something is gonna happen, obviously, but I just don't know what it's going to be. Um, I don't know. I no. Absolutely not. Do not need that at all. No.
I I see Finn stepping away. Face or heel, I don't know, but it's time for Finn to get away from the
I
Judgment
do
Day.
love how much Finn is enjoying all of this drama. Like, I wasn't even paying attention to what Liv and Dom and Raquel and Roxanne were saying. I could not focus on anything other than Finn's cheesy little grin in the background on the couch, just
It was
loving.
so awesome. It
Oh my
was
god.
so that was me when friends were having beef and like drama was going. Like
Mhm.
I'm Finn just like, what are you gonna say next? What are you gonna say next? What
Yeah.
oh you see that? Like
It's because
I
it's,
was
and
loving it.
this is the thing, is when we're talking about like who is the leader of
He's
Judgment Day,
eating
it's
it up,
Finn,
bro.
guys. He's pulling all the strings. He's the one who set it up in motion for Damien and Rhea to get kicked out. He was the one who set it in motion to bring Liv in to partner him up with Dom. Now he's the
Yes.
one that's bringing in Roxanne. You know, like
Yeah.
he's the puppet master right now. We just don't know how it's going to go because obviously he's felt a little betrayed with JD McDonough, Dom, whatever. I just am waiting to see what they're going to actually do because, as I've complained about before, it feels like they keep teasing this inevitable breakup and then it's like, then they keep walking it back. Then we get closer and then they walk it back. So it's like, I don't really know what is going to happen. And I don't even know what I want to happen, if you like, honestly, but I guess we'll see. And then we did predict this, I believe. I don't know if it was
We
us or there was
did.
somebody in the
No,
chat also.
we said it last week. I'll say it that. We said it
Yeah.
last week.
That the Tozawa versus Rusev match was not going to end any differently than what we've seen. Because, like, I'm sorry, I guess you can say it's admirable that Tozawa wanted to take on Rusev again and ask for this match, but it died. He died in the ring. So, Sheamus decided to come out and help, but I don't think he could have waited any longer. I mean, Tozawa was getting stretched out, and it's like,
I
what?
felt so bad. The man went in there with the heart of a lion
Yeah.
and got chewed up like a possum.
Yeah, so
It's
now we're
tough.
going to see, oh my god, did you see Wade Barrett's tweet when this happened?
No.
Somebody sent him a tweet that was like um what was it? It's like a
I'm gonna
he
find it.
okay, it was like someone was saying that they were going to bring back the group
The
of
League of
him.
Nations?
Yeah, the League
Oh,
of Nations.
I love
And
them,
Wade
like,
posted a gif
unironically.
from what movie is it? It's like the one with like the puppets or whatever, and it's just like puking
Oh, it's a
everywhere.
I've seen it.
Oh my god, hilarious. I died when I saw that. So, Yeah.
America!
So
Yeah.
Sheamus is going to, I guess, fight in line first to Zawa and the Alpha Academy, and now we're going to see Sheamus versus Rusev, which I think is a more, I guess, entertaining feud for Rusev in his return. But if we're being honest, I don't care. Like, I don't care about this feud, about this inevitable match. I don't care enough to be like, yay, I'm so excited about this match. I'm not.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't. I wish I had more to say, but I have more excitement that needs to go to other things. Like, this is great. It's gonna be meat versus meat. Like,
Yes.
great. You know, a lot of slapping, a lot of chopping, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of beef. But
Yeah.
like, cool. Like,
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's like basically Sheamus is only coming in because he's like, oh, I'm going to save my friend from the bully. You know, it's like that's not enough for me to care about the story. Like, yeah, the match will probably be good, but otherwise, I'm not invested yet. They'll have to do something to make this a little bit more interesting than, like the match being good. And this is why I think it comes into, it's an argument that we can make again. People are talking about this match or this, but what we think is going to eventually be a match. People are like, it's going to be a good match. Okay, but this goes back to the argument of wrestling ability doesn't matter. We only care about the storyline. Again, no, you don't, because there's no story here. There's
there's
literally
literally
no.
nothing.
There's
It's
nothing
just
here, and you're like, I'm
no.
looking forward to it because it's going to be a good match. Okay,
That's good. You can
and
say
that's
that, and that's
fine.
great. That's
And
great.
I'm not calling these people, I'm not calling you guys out. I'm
No,
not
those are
calling Richard a
different.
bad guy. I'm just saying in general, like, people are just so flip-floppy when it comes to like what they care about. Because
'Cause
when
they
we're talking about this match,
Mhm.
they think that, yeah, it's Rusev, it's Sheamus, they're two big guys, they're strong, like they have a history, but obviously it's like 10 years ago or more. But there's no story in this at all. But we know this match is gonna be good.
No story
But I
yet.
care about storylines. No, you don't.
No,
That doesn't matter more to you. It doesn't.
no. It's the people who want to sound like they know what they're talking about, but in reality have no idea what they're talking about.
And the thing is I think what's confusing about that argument in general is that wrestlers have come out and said it, that stories matter more than the wrestling. And I think that's why people, like fans, start parroting it, because they're like, okay, well, I'm hearing it from a person who is retired and had like an illustrious career, or someone who's active and they're like really good. So it must be the truth. And I want to be somebody who is saying something that is coming out of a wrestler's mouth, because then if
Mhm.
someone tries to say you're wrong, it's like, okay, but so and so said it and so said it. And it's like, yeah, I give them credit for what they're saying, but I really think that when we're talking about this argument specifically, wrestling
Mhm.
didn't matter as much in like the Attitude Era in the 90s. It was all about characters and stories. It didn't matter about the wrestling, but like we've evolved so much over the
Evolved so
past
much.
20 plus years and what people can do in the ring. I mean, like we literally were just talking about Sol Ruka having 2 years of experience, and this chick is like
She's
doing
doing an
legend,
inverted 450
like,
into a cutter, calling it the Soul Snatcher, her
yeah.
finishing move. Like, that's her
So
signature move.
yeah, and that's the
Insane.
thing, is then you see that, so you're expecting that kind of match out of anybody, right? Like there might be a few exceptions that are people who are, have been in wrestling for 15, 20 years. Like, yeah, they're not going to have all the new age stuff, but like your expectations are a lot higher now when you're watching a wrestling match. And of course, you want to also have better storylines than what we saw a lot during the Vince era, which was like,
Mhm.
oh, this guy attacked me last week and now I'm going to go kill him in the ring. And then next week, we're going to forget that ever happened. Like, yeah, we want better stories, but I don't think it's wrong to say wrestling matches and ability are just as important, if not more, than the storyline, because
Mhm.
you can still see a really good match between, like, we were just talking about the Money in the Bank qualifier. There is no history, like significant history, to be like, oh my god, this storyline is so good between Penta, Dragon Lee, and Chad Gable. All of that is
It's
relatively fresh, that hasn't really been like dug into specifically with Gable and like Penta.
Mhm.
But like everyone's talking about how good of a match that was. But like, what about the story?
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
shut up.
It's
Just
just
God
one of
damn it.
those things that I think is just kind of like a silly argument.
It is.
But anyway, had to go on my rant. I'm sorry. It's just those types of moments just remind me of like people calling me out for saying that wrestling ability and wrestling matches matter and telling me that I'm wrong. And it's like, no, because the first thing you say when you see a match that you didn't like is that that match sucked. They didn't do anything. There were botches, this and that. Like, that's all you say, even if the story was really good. Like, so what are we saying? You're like, that story sucked. You don't hear that, like,
Mhm.
ever. So I also would say it's more said about women. People call out botches and mess ups against women far more than they ever say about men.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
that's a problem in
However,
the wrestling community, I would say. Because why are you so comfortable calling out Zelina Vega, but you won't call out, I don't fucking know. You know, like, I don't know. Let's say Dragon Lee messed up. No one's saying shit about Dragon Lee, but you guys could not stop talking about Zelina Vega.
well, the mess up. Did you see Chad Gable get his head
Okay, so why,
fucking
that's the thing.
squashed?
Okay, so why are we not, and I'm not saying that it's warranted because he seemed fine, but I'm just saying, like, why is no one talking shit about Penta? You know what
I
I mean?
know.
Like, no one's
That
saying,
is
look at that
true.
botch. Oh my
No,
God.
he's fucking
But
I saw that and audibly gasped. I did.
yeah.
So,
And no, you are correct, Alex. Everybody botches. No one's perfect. So
yeah,
that's why I'm
nobody's
saying, like,
perfect. You gotta work it again and again till you get it right. Come
and
on.
that's why I'm saying it has it's a problem when the women are the ones that are called out more, because everybody can have make a mistake. Everyone, there can be an accident in a match. Like, it's not, the men aren't immune to that, but for some reason the men are not called out for it. Um
Mhm.
Trainer Red says Triple H had good stories, but his matches were boring. I don't even think he has a classic under his belt. Maybe 3 Stages of Hell with Austin, but I don't know. Interesting. But that's the thing, is like, that was an era that wasn't really known for wrestling. Like, if you go back and watch like matches of The Rock, it's kind of a hard watch because of like the style was so exaggerated. It was
It's
just
different.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, if we saw, that's why even The Rock had to go and train. Like, The Rock couldn't
Yeah,
come
I'm
out
not.
at WrestleMania 40 and wrestle the way that he did in 2002, because people would have been like, what the fuck is this? You know, like, even if it is The Rock and you're like, okay, this is just what he does. No, that's, people don't want to see that anymore. They want to see it look as real as possible. They don't want to see the like over exaggeration. You can see that every now and then when we're talking about like a nostalgia act like The Rock, when he's going to do a rock bottom or do those like hits and whatever, but like,
Yeah.
you don't want to see that with
No,
somebody
it's so
that's
different now.
wrestling right now on the regular. um Oh, the bad guy says Triple H versus The Rock in 2000 at Backlash was good. And John says Triple H versus Undertaker at WrestleMania. I mean, I'm not good with like, oh, this was a banger and this was a banger. I'm not good at that, so I'm not going to
Triple
participate.
H,
But
backlash. Triple H
well,
Rock is really
actually,
good.
Triple H at
It is
Mania
really good.
20 with HBK and
That
Benoit.
one's a banger. Eddie
That's a really good
Guerrero
match.
angle is really good. I was thinking that the
Anyway,
other day. That sounds like it. Whatever.
Then we move on to this match, which I thought was bizarre because 2 or 3 weeks ago we saw that the Creed brothers became the number 1 contenders for the tag team titles, and the New Day made sure that the War Raiders were not going to be the number 1 contender, but instead we got a triple threat for the tag team titles.
Because New Day screwed. That's why.
It's
That's
just
just
funny.
one.
It's just funny because, again, short-term memory. They don't want you to remember because they haven't been on TV for like 2 weeks, but
Mm-hmm.
like, you know. Anyway, so this was a solid match. I wanted to pull it up because people like it when we talk about everything, but I don't have a whole lot to say about this other
I
than
really don't. I
I guess
liked
the bigger, okay, let's take away this is a bigger conversation because I saw it on Twitter. How do you feel about the New Day's heel run? Because a lot of people are not happy about how much it's cooled off. Like, they feel like, again, this is another instance of WWE like messing with what could have been really good. I mean, they were getting at one point like Dom level heat. Like, you could not hear
yeah.
anything that they said. And now people are like booing them and saying like New Day sucks, but it's nowhere near the level that it was when it first happened.
No, and I don't like I would rather this version of New Day than over the top pancake throwing. positivity. I like this edge to them. It's a new era in WWE, so let's do new things. And it's not bad. Like by any means, it's not bad. Yes, there should be more opportunities with it, but what they're doing with the tag team titles right now, cheating to win, just scathing by the, skin of their teeth, I think the phrase is, doesn't matter. This is another side of New Day we haven't seen, and I'm enjoying it so far. They're still getting heat. It's not nuclear like
Mhm.
always because there's just so much going on that you get exhausted if you cheered or booed the same with the same intensity at the top of the show, all the way throughout. You're going to have low moments. And as long as the New Day are getting booed, which they are, the job is getting done. And all it's doing is it's making us love the War Raiders. Right. Yeah, War Raiders now. They're the War Raiders.
Yes.
And it's making it just it's building the tag division on Raw in a weird way.
I
But it
agree.
is.
I almost feel like Big E needs to get involved again to like
And that's the biggest
re-spark.
thing that's happened is
Mhm.
that they started with Big E turning on him to get that heat, and nothing is going to top that until Big E comes back into the picture. So
Mhm.
everything is just them trying to be as hated as possible, and they're
Yeah.
doing a good job of
I
being
think
hated. I don't like the New Day right now.
you know what do you think about this? Because this is just a random idea that popped into my head, but I almost feel like it would be kind of funny. With you mentioning them throwing out the pancakes and stuff like that. I feel like it would almost be funny if they did some of the stuff that they did at the height of New Day popularity, but like as heels. Like is if there's a way that they could throw something out to the audience that's like super negative or something, like not as happy, like I don't know if they threw out like rats, like rat toys or something. I don't know. You know what I'm just saying? Like something
No,
that,
you're on some sort of path. Yeah,
like
you're there. Like they like all right, instead of throwing pancakes, they throw something else, or they do something else that goes
yeah,
along with it. Instead of just being like the swag,
yeah.
machismo, we're
Cause
better
like
than you. Like
I
I get that. It's fine. It works. I don't really have any strong opinions towards it. There's going to be a time in my eyes that you're going to be needing to do something like that, but as of right
mhm.
now, like, it's working. They're the chicken shit heels that are winning with the, cheating to win and to keep their
I
titles. They're doing whatever they can to keep their titles.
yeah.
That's this New Day to me.
Yeah. I think we'll have to see. Yeah, I guess that guy's right, is that if they're too
Well,
entertaining to
I
fans,
have
but
this in my notes. The song plays, they sing it, then they chant "Fuck you, Rollins," and then he
I know.
calls them out for it, the profanity, and says, "You were singing my song earlier." What do they
Mhm.
do next? They sing his fucking song.
I know.
That's
And
wrestling fans.
that
That
is
is Sarah.
that is why I'm telling you, and I said it last,
Fickle. They're fickle.
I'm gonna keep saying it. This is why Seth Rollins needs to win Money in the Bank and cash in on Jey Uso. But
Well,
we're not there
there's
yet. But we
a
will
qualifying match
Jey Uso.
for it.
We're gonna talk about Jey Uso.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
because him and Gunther met again in the ring face to face, and a lot of people were not thrilled about it because it's like, oh, they're just saying the same thing over and over again.
No.
No, they weren't. I mean, Jey Uso was, but Gunther wasn't. Gunther has kind of um progressed with the things that he is saying to Jay. And because obviously now he has defended the title and twice because he put it on the line for Seth. Um and so it would be kind of, I mean, if we're just looking at it from this perspective, it'd be kind of ballsy for Gunther to come out and say anything about him being unable to retain the title, even if he did get help at Saturday night's main event. Because he retained. So you can say, yeah, he's a legitimate champion. He's defended it twice, blah, 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 even though both times he got help, but it's okay. But Jay was so caught off guard, I guess, I don't know, with whatever Gunther was saying. The biggest takeaway from this was that Jay froze up in the middle of it. And it didn't even, if we're being honest, it did not register with me at first because like I was listening, but I was also like there was stuff going on, so it was like I couldn't hear super well, but I was like, okay, a lot of this is stuff that we've heard, or like, oh, Gunther did a great job, but people aren't going to think that because they don't like Gunther. So then when I saw Jay like pacing back and forth, I was like, did I miss him say something like for this moment to make sense? And then I realized everyone's reaction online was like, what the fuck just happened? Like Jay forgot his lines, like that was an awkward 10 seconds or whatever. And I was trying to be nice. And you guys know I don't like Jay. So like I was trying to be nice and be like, I must have missed something. Like what he's doing has to make sense, right? And then when I watched it back, I was like, oh shit. No, like just another bad moment for Jay as champion, especially. Like it's just not a great look, honestly.
It's not. And Gunther, everyone's saying that he was saying the same thing over and over again. He wasn't. Okay. What he was alluding to was what happened at Saturday Night's main event. Obviously, John Cena tried to interfere in the match in favor of Logan Paul, a
I don't know
returning
that it was in favor of Logan Paul. I think it was against Jay. I feel like that was one of those moments where it's like, well, now that we know what's happening, but I'm saying in the moment, it feels like I'm not doing this for your opponent. I'm doing this because I hate you.
But here's
I
the
think
thing. I don't think it's that. What does Cena say he's going to do? He's going to ruin wrestling. Wouldn't putting the belt on Logan Paul ruin wrestling?
Yeah, but also
So,
he also was
de
talking about how he
facto.
wants to take the title so that he could have both.
So, and he knows he can beat Logan Paul. We can argue
Yeah.
semantics. But the point that I'm trying to make is that he got help and he helps his friends out when, they are getting attacked or whatnot. I'm going to saying that's great to have friends and be there for people, but as champion, you cannot. You have to
Yeah.
think of yourself. And well, I have my notes here. He saying that it's a bad quality for a champion, and he doesn't know what being a champion is like. It doesn't come natural to him, all that stuff. And I'm ready for Jay to go in and be like, yeah, I may not, or like do the Eminem 8 Mile. Yeah, I know I'm not. I'm not there yet. Blah blah blah, whatever. But he didn't, and just did the old Jey Uso. I thought when he said, "Are you done?" I was ready. I was like, "All right, he's about to let it out," But
He
it fell
froze.
flat. And
Mhm.
Sarah, I know I get on you about how you make your comments about Jey Uso or whatever, and I'm like, oh, whatever. No, but like I'm kind of with you here. Last night, that was tough. Still love Jey Uso, but that was a moment I can't defend. I can't defend you there. Like that
Mhm.
was tough. That was tough. A humbling moment as champion for sure, but I can't justify it.
It just doesn't
Gunther
help
cooked him.
the narrative that surrounds him from people who are not like big Yeet fans. You know what I mean? It's like they're already
Mhm.
saying he's not a legitimate champion. He can't do this. He can't do that. And it's like, again, this happens to everybody. I'm not trying to say Jay just, freezing up or not remembering what he was supposed to say is anything new. However, it's just like terrible timing for that to happen. And like I said, I'm not a Jey Uso fan, but like I was looking for everything to be like, okay, how can I explain this for him? You know what I mean? Like I didn't want this to happen to him.
No.
A Gunther fan, but like, yeah. So it's just unfortunate timing for him for sure. Um, I also don't. I think Jay is fine. I don't. I think that Jay and Roman, in my opinion, suffer from the same problem where they don't necessarily have good promos in general unless they're against a family member. Their best
Mhm.
was when it was bloodline versus bloodline. And I mean like Jay versus Roman or any drama with Roman and one of, the Usos or whatever. That was their best work and their best promo work. If you look at their other stuff, it doesn't live up. And this is another example where like if Jay were talking smack to like Roman, it would probably
Mhm.
be good, but it wasn't. So I also do not enjoy tearing. I don't think I tear Jay Uso down. I'm not obligated to be a fan of everyone that you guys are fans of. So I'm not a Jey Uso fan. I'm a Gunther fan. I'm gonna
You're a Nikita Lyons fan.
hell no. But I
What do
do
you-
agree
oh.
with Richard that I wish that they were doing something else with Gunther, and it really does feel like this is just what's going to happen. Is going to be something for Goldberg. I think that that's what's probably going to happen at the Phoenix Raw, if it's not, somebody cashing in, which I think it would be Seth Rollins cashing in on Jay, like in the middle of his match with Gunther. That's my prediction. And to me, it makes the most sense given what we're looking at with Jay Uso's storyline post Money in the Bank. Like, he's already getting involved with other stuff that doesn't revolve around the championship. And then we're just talking about how Seth Rollins is like not super over as a heel and the way that they want him to be because people are singing his song. So if he were to cash in the middle of this match and have a heist moment again and beat Jey Uso for the title, he's going to get super level heat because people are going to be so mad that not only he did that in the middle of the match, but he took the title off of Jey Uso like 6 to 8 weeks after he won the title. So if we're talking about longevity for stories, that makes sense.
That's it. What do you think of Tom Segura last and Bert Kreischer at Raw?
I just that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't really. I try not to put too much thought into it because it's just Netflix forcing them to promote stuff on Netflix.
That's fine. Yeah,
I don't
it's not
really
your thing. That's
they're
fine.
not. Yeah, I mean, I see clips of Tom on TikTok because of his podcast. And
Yeah.
doesn't he have a
Two
podcast
Bears.
with his wife?
Two Bears, One Cave. He
No,
does
he
Your Mom's
has-
Basement, or it's Your Mom's House, something with his wife, and then he does Two Bears,
Yeah.
One Cave with Bert.
So I see clips with his wife, and sometimes those are funny, but like otherwise, I don't really.
But
care.
as a guy, you're just like, okay, he does the thing, whatever. He's
whatever.
getting dragged for not being a wrestling fan last night and like not looking like he was like excited. And I'm that's like pissing me off. Like the dude, like
most of the people that they show in the audience are not wrestling fans. They're just there for like a quick promo. So
Tom Segura was into it. Like he was just like,
well,
he just wasn't. He's not a guy. He's not a wrestling fan. So what?
There were celebrities that were talking about how they went to WrestleMania and it was the first time they'd ever watched wrestling. Why are we not talking about them getting front row seats to WrestleMania and had never watched anything before? So that's the thing. Like, again, you're picking and choosing when it irritates you.
Exactly. Do you know how many people that I forced to watch WrestleMania at my house in college, and they just came over because it was like, yeah, Pitts' place is having people over.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's about.
Yeah, it's whatever.
I thought their segment with the War Raiders was hilarious because it's Bert Kreischer with a shirt. Like I like that. Like my type of comedy, but it's not going to impact the grand scheme of things.
No,
they're just cutaway segments. It's
just because they're on Netflix and they have to promote a Netflix special. Like I don't really care. I forgot about it like 2 minutes after it happened. So
exactly.
And I actually popped for Waka Flocka, even though I'm like not a fan or anything. I thought it was hilarious that they have him in the background when they're like showing Bert on the screen, and then they like go back to be like, Waka's here, and it's like, well, yeah, he's awkwardly standing there. Like you had to go back and
he was just watching these two beasts chug beer, just so confused.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just funny. Anyway, so after running into Io Sky and Kairi Sane in the back, as Liv said that she was going to Adam Pearce's office to get a qualifying match for Money in the Bank, Kairi Sane was like, hey, I want to match with you tonight. So they had a match. And first of all, Liv's outfit reminded me of her. She wore something similar, or it was the same thing from Mania. And it reminded me of that clip of CM Punk from Mania and Dave Cormier. And he was like, Punk was like, did you see what Liv was wearing? And Dave was like, yeah. And it's like, because he has like a crush on Liv, and Punk just starts cracking up.
Yeah,
like,
I remember that. Yeah.
Anytime now, if I see Liv in like red latex, I automatically just like think about Dave just being like
Daniel Cormier being
Daniel,
obsessed with Liv
yeah. Every
Daniel
time he's
Cormier
like
being obsessed with Liv
and
Morgan.
I'm just like, oh my god,
so funny.
So anyways, awesome. That was funny. And this was a good match. And Roxanne came in, and I would say her purpose of being there is not clear because she ended up contributing to Liv losing to Kairi Sane. But did she come out to help Liv? Did she come out to make it look like she was trying to help Liv, but then she ultimately was also trying to distract Raquel from being able to help Liv from losing? Because even if we're talking about after the match, Liv and Raquel are giving her like the death stare. But Roxanne doesn't look like she's trying to convince them, hey, I was here to help you. So I'm like, this adds another layer to the Judgment Day story that's happening right now that you're kind of like, what's really going on?
Well, and when I think I saw this, that Roxanne or Raquel said, did you just say that? Raquel said, who sent you out here? And Roxanne said, you, to Raquel.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say that? No, you didn't.
No. I didn't say that.
No. Oh, that's what I thought. Okay. Yeah. No. There's a new. So what I saw online is
Mhm.
that Roxanne, when she went to go help, and Raquel was like, "What are you doing out here? Who sent you
Mhm.
out here?" Roxanne's like, "You." And Raquel's like, "What do you mean?" And then that's when Liv was like, that's when
Yeah.
Liv looked over. So that, like, a little turmoil like that, beautiful. That's
Yeah.
how you get the story juicy. That's how you start gaining interest in whatever's going on with this new
Well, and that
version of the
that
Judgment Day
plays into
Roxanne.
what somebody said earlier to us about, or I think it was the bad guy saying that maybe Raquel joins up with
That's what I
Roxanne.
mean. Like if
But
imagine Roxanne and Raquel,
yeah, could
that
be
would
good.
be
That could be good. I don't know.
that's
It's
money in the bank.
definitely like they just keep adding more layers to what this story could be, and so it makes it so much more confusing to figure out what is going to happen, who's going to leave, what is the last straw going to be. And it's like, yeah, it's exciting, but it also is just kind of confusing because then you're like trying to figure out what's going to happen, and then it's like it completely derails next week, so you're like, oh, okay, I don't know. Sticking with the women, we had Lyra Valkyria come out
Shit.
and she cut a promo on Becky Lynch, to which obviously Becky comes out. And maybe people don't want this to continue, even though they've already announced that they will be facing each other at Money in the Bank. I am really enjoying what they're doing because these are two women that have been holding their own on the mic. And I think if we're talking about, you know, the Becky Hogan accusations, right? Like there is an argument to be made that Lyra has outshined Becky in their back and forth segments. You could say that Lyra has been better. So, and I think that you could argue like Becky wants that to happen, obviously, because she's trying to help elevate Lyra. So, like, I'm still interested in this. I'm even more interested now that we know that Evolution is going to be coming back. And hopefully Bailey will get into the mix at some point because I feel like she makes sense to get involved in here. And
At some point, yeah.
I would love for that to be a triple threat at Evolution because, like, what a match that could be.
I have seen rumblings of Bailey versus Becky at Evolution. So to me, it seems like you take the belt off. You would take the belt off Lyra, and that would set up like Bailey coming back or something. So
Yeah, they'll definitely have to mention Bailey again in the conversation because they have not mentioned her for a little bit. So, like, to have that make sense, I guess. But you would assume that Bailey will be coming back and wanting to seek revenge for
yeah,
Becky taking her out for Mania. So, yeah, I think that that could be a really good match, especially because there's people who are concerned about how Evolution will be received because it is an all women's pay-per-view, and even though people have been saying that they want to see it, sometimes the people who then end up watching it doesn't reflect the demand that we saw. So I think that they need to make big matches like this because it's like I don't think that just having Becky versus Lyra again is gonna reel people in to watch. You
yeah.
know,
No,
like
there
you need to
definitely needs
add something to
a
it.
stipulation. There needs to be
Yeah.
a stipulation
Or
in there
even adding
for
Bailey
sure.
into it, you know?
Yeah, Bailey definitely seems like her comeback is imminent, and with Evolution, you can't have Evolution 2
Without
without
her.
Bailey. I'm sorry,
No.
you can't.
No,
You
she's
can't
been
do it.
advocating it for I couldn't even tell you how many years. So that would be so messed
Exactly.
up. So yeah,
No.
hopefully she'll come back like maybe after Money in the Bank or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, she was left
and
off Mania. You can't just leave her off Evolution too.
no.
That's when I will be pissed.
Yeah,
Like,
well, she's really the one who spearheaded the whole thing. Like, she's the one that's been
yes.
keeping that in the conversation over the past however many years. She's a big reason why Evolution's even happening. I'm sure Stephanie also has a say in it, but like Bailey has consistently been supportive of women's wrestling in WWE and elsewhere, and has been pushing for this to happen. So she has to be on it. And I think it would be really cool if they could do it like in a triple threat form, and that could be like the main event or something.
Yeah.
It's especially cool if it's like a mid-card title being the main event. That would be kind of cool.
That's how you make the
Well,
Intercontinental feel important.
and if we're talking about like, I know that it's not for another, I don't know, 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, I got a couple weeks.
There is a good chance that that would be the hottest story going into Evolution, so it wouldn't be wrong for them to be in the main event. You know, like you're gonna have to try to get us to care about whatever Io Sky might do between now and then, and whatever Tiffany is going to be doing between now and then. And I'm like, as of right now, Becky, Lyra, Bailey, I feel like trumps anything that they be doing right now. So I'm just saying. But also I wanted to mention this because, of course, we have been advocates for Mr. Karrion Kross over the past however many years. And he made sure to stop Sami Zayn when he was on his way to the ring and let him know that he has not forgotten about him, and he will remind him, hey, I've told you how you can go about this and how you could be a champion and how you can better your life and better your career, but you don't want to listen to me. Sami wants nothing to do with it, of course. And as he starts walking away, Karrion lets him know, hey, you're never going to be a champion. And I was like, Karrion, that is the dagger that you needed to send, because you know what? I need Sami versus Karrion. And I think that a lot of the audience wants Sami versus Karrion, because if they're not going to put Karrion in a Money in the Bank qualifying match, which a lot of people are upset about, you heard that pop when we saw him on screen.
Yeah.
You got to do something with him. You cannot just keep having him like do these random backstage segments that get people excited and then nothing comes of it. Like, we know for the most part, a lot of people are not overly thrilled with the type of wrestler that he is. But again, if we're talking about characters and we're talking about storylines, that stuff is important, right? And sometimes the wrestling can take a back seat. So a guy like Karrion, who has organically gotten himself over basically because of his social media presence and just how much of like a really nice human being he is, that is something that should be rewarded in matches. And having him in a match with like Sami Zayn, pretty good, I would say.
I at this point, I just want to see Karrion Kross involved in something long term. And if that means that we have to get him and Sami, or please just him in a Money in the Bank match, like please. So
I know. I and they still have what, 2 spots in the men and two spots for the women's match. So there is a chance, because I don't believe that they have announced the final men's, but we're definitely going to get one on SmackDown, at least one more on SmackDown. So there is a chance that he could be added into it, because you could also say Ludwig Kaiser. Where the fuck is that guy?
Hey, that's true. I haven't seen Kaiser in a minute.
No, the last time we saw him was literally when we were at Mania and he was on Main Event.
Yeah, and well, they were trying to interview him a little bit, but like a week ago or so, but shit got in the way.
Yeah,
there was some nonsense going on.
Yeah, it's just very frustrating. The bad guy says Kross is the one who needs to win Money in the Bank. Him with the case starting shit would be fun. It's not happening though, because let's be real, if he cashed in, he's not winning. So, you know, I'm still holding on to my belief that this year's men's Money in the Bank is going to be another throwaway year. And people aren't happy about it. That's why I posted a TikTok and I was like, people are going to be pissed about it. Someone said that I'm not a fan of professional wrestling because I said I think Seth is going to win. I was like, I'm not a fan of professional wrestling because I think Seth is going to win Money in the Bank and I think he should. That makes me not a fan of professional wrestling. Okay. But anyway, since we're talking about Seth Rollins, this was the main event. It was another Money in the Bank qualifying match between Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, and Sami Zayn. And of course, this is a match that could not end without disruption because Seth's guys came out, Jey Uso came out,
CM
Dom
Punk came out.
Dom came out. Everything was tried to help somebody win in this match. And I believe the right person won, which was Seth Rollins. I know that's not going to please a lot of people, but I think Seth needed to be in this match. It's like, it's one of those things is similar to what we were talking about last week when Rhea Ripley qualified and people were like, oh, she shouldn't be in it because she's already had the women's title. Like, she really doesn't need the Money in the Bank briefcase to like give her a match. You can apply all of that obviously to Seth Rollins. However, if you had a bunch of guys in this match that have never been champion or are not big stars or big names, people aren't going to care to watch as much. And there have been plenty of Money in the Bank matches like that. Like, if you go back in the archives, there are like Dolph Ziggler versus like Zack Ryder versus whoever. And it's like, no one cared about that match because like there were no big stars in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Rhea's going to win, but I do think Seth's going to win because I think it makes sense for the story.
Mm-hmm.
But Finn has other stuff going on, and I'm hoping that when WrestleVote said that Finn was going to have a big year in 2025, where it's nearly 6 months in and we're still waiting. So I want to see that. Sami, I'm hoping will have something with Karrion, so that makes sense for him to not win. And yes, this is his name, unfortunately, but you know what? It's fine, dude. Okay. He's not going to, isn't he? No. Oh, yeah, I guess Punk could be, but like,
I don't see it. I don't see it.
No, I think he's going to have, I don't know. Punk is kind of like, yeah, I know this is what people are saying, that Roman's going to return and make sure that Seth doesn't get the briefcase, but like,
oh, that's fantasy booking.
I've heard that's what everyone's been saying, but like, because as of right now, if it's not Seth, then who makes sense?
For Money in the Bank?
Yeah.
LA Knight, Penta.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna look it up because
Seth.
Solo Sikoa. So there's two more.
Like, yeah, no, like
like, come on, guys. Solo Sikoa is my tribal chief. He ain't winning. LA Knight, if he wins, he's not cashing in on anybody anytime.
He could, like that, I'm not gonna fully take it out of the realm of possibility, but he's definitely behind Seth. Like,
yeah, well, and Penta's not winning. Not right now. He doesn't need it. They're gonna put him in the title picture eventually, but they're gonna want to put like the IC title on him first.
No, yeah.
But to me, of the other three in this match, none of them makes more sense than Seth Rollins. If we're talking about the stories involving,
he declared it last night. He declared it at the top of the show how he needs to be Mr. Money in the Bank.
I think he does. I think he makes a fair argument. Again, if we're talking about if they want to build Seth's group as this monster machine trying to take down, the company and like whatever and take over professional wrestling, the easiest way to do that is to win Money in the Bank. Then you go in and cash in on the biggest baby face on the show, take the title off him and piss off everybody to the point where they finally start booing him and maybe not singing his song. That is not going to happen with Solo Sikoa. Okay. LA Knight, sure. Like, I hate that he might be in his third Money in the Bank match and he doesn't win. I hate that. But I also hate the idea of him not being able to cash in because Jey Uso is the champion, not being able to cash in because John Cena is the champion, and then Cody Rhodes probably takes it off him, so he's not going to cash in on Cody Rhodes. Like, I don't like the idea of him just like walking around for the next 9-10 months to maybe even 11 months with the briefcase. I don't really know how that elevates him.
I don't either. I don't see how anyone is anyone does well with the briefcase except for Seth Rollins at this
And
point.
that's the thing is that
Unfortunately,
this is an interesting argument too that I guess I want to get your take on it, because even I've said it, like, when we look at Money in the Bank historically, for the most part, it goes to the man or woman that like needs that boost in their career to either like make them into a bigger household name, or they want to make them into like a main eventer, and they kind of just need that legitimacy with the Money in the Bank briefcase to accomplish that, because they weren't going to be able to become like a champion or the champion without it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that is how it has to go every single year, because you could also argue that should be what the Royal Rumble is for. And that's not how the Royal Rumble goes either. It feels like whatever the storyline is with the champions at that time, it needs to make sense for whoever the Money in the Bank winners are, or whoever the Royal Rumble winners are. That's why a lot of people were not thrilled initially about Jey Uso winning, because it was like, who is he going to face? Gunther for the 4th time, or Cody? Like, that's not happening, you know? So like, people loved that Jey won, obviously, because they love Jey, but when we're talking about storylines, it didn't make sense. But when Charlotte won, it was like, she's going after Tiffany. Like, that makes sense, you know? But like, with Money in the Bank, that doesn't happen every single year either. It's like, oh, this person deserves it, or this person doesn't deserve it. But like, if we're talking about the storylines right now, as we were just saying, none of these other people in the match so far make more sense with what they're doing than Seth Rollins, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
No, I agree. I like, yeah. I just now that I know the lay of the land, it's Seth. Follow the footprints. Follow the footprints.
And I understand this, because Anthony says, my only thing is that it's too easy for Seth. He wins at Mania, wins with his new group, and wins Money in the Bank, and then wins the cash in. There's no struggle. I totally get it, but I do think that Jey Uso is the one who's going to get cashed in on. If Jey Uso is the champion, and he's going to be the champion for the foreseeable future, and the same thing with John Cena is not getting cashed in on. It's just not happening, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to happen, because they want to do whatever they're trying to do. And I think that I don't even really know who Cena would want to be passing the torch to by like giving them the title. It feels inevitably like it's going to be Cody Rhodes. To me, that makes the most sense. Like, it's going to be Cody. He's going to give the title back.
Like, that's what it does not. Yeah, Cody. Yeah, right now it seems like there's still unfinished business between Cody and John Cena, and that is just something that is got to get figured out before we decide or can think of any other challenger for it, in my eyes. So what's the easiest option? Well, who's on the show? What Money in the Bank competitor is on the show that Cody Rhodes / John Cena is not? And it's Raw. So Seth Rollins, boom. Like that, to me, that's just where it's at. And
well, because then
for
they'll
where the
probably
story's
face each
going,
other at SummerSlam.
that's like in the way it's like Seth said he's coming after the Money in the Bank, and he is the top dog, and has Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker next to him to assure that he gets it. No other competitor has it. Like it's inevitable.
Well, and I think that, again, it's like, I want to see LA Knight be champion. You know, like, if we're talking about the competitors in there right now, LA Knight deserves to win Money in the Bank and become a champion. Like, if Seth Rollins weren't in it and we didn't have to care about the storylines that are going on right now, I would be all in on LA Knight, as I have in the past, right? Like, I loved that Drew McIntyre won last year, only because I wanted him to cash in on Punk winning the title at Mania. Like, that was what I wanted to do. That was my fantasy booking. Obviously, it's not what happened, and I was pissed that they had him cash in later that night. But I don't see it being in the cards for somebody who actually needs it, like an LA Knight. Like, I don't want somebody to get the Money in the Bank briefcase if they're not going to be able to benefit from being the winner of the Money in the Bank, you know? And it feels like somebody like LA Knight will not be put in a position to cash in and win. And to me, that feels like winning the Money in the Bank briefcase was pointless then, because what does that do for him? Having it and then cashing it in, what does that do? It does nothing. So that's why it's like, if it's Seth, well, it goes with what Seth is trying to do. It gets people to hate him more. It allows Jey Uso to get more love and probably get a main event, of night 1 against Seth at SummerSlam. But then it also allows him to go off and do other things, because they've already been doing it with, with Cody, Cena, Logan, Sammy, Punk. Like, he's intertwined in all of this. So, like, I don't know. I don't know that there's anybody that's going to make more sense in my eyes than Seth Rollins at this point.
I can't argue. I can't right now. I cannot
Well, and
argue right now on
that's why I
that.
said I think that we kind of have to like figure out like what makes the most sense, and like
Exactly.
if this year makes sense for it to be somebody like LA Knight, then sure it should. But like, if we're looking at the landscape of what is going on in WWE right now, it doesn't make sense for an LA Knight, a Solo Sikoa to win.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the men's is kind of wrapped up, or we think it is. Let's focus on the women's Money in the Bank. We got Money in the Bank coming up, and we have a whole lot more. Sarah, did you know that Ethan Page is now your new North American champion,
Oh, he beat
defeating Ricky
Ricky.
Saints? Yeah,
Wow.
crazy bump. Got to check that out. He had a twisted grin, and it was pretty gnarly. So go check that out. And Fallon Henley is getting a little sick and tired of JC Jane's shit, along with other nonsense that is happening over on NXT. I got my Fightful scoops that told me, so that I'm all caught up and I can go watch. Right now, I'm going to go cook up some food and go watch NXT, because we got to talk about it on Thursday this week, Sarah. Thursday this week, we will be back for the Super Show, breaking down not only WWE, but all the other nonsense that is happening across the Wrestleverse. And I might hop back into, speaking of some nonsense. So I think I got to play the WWE 2K franchise again. I got to play the My Rise. We got to take down Mutiny. We really got to take down Mutiny from within. And we can finally do that, trying to convince Bailey to join our side. That's the next chapter. Go check that out on twitch.tv/Nonsense Sports Network. But before you leave here to go there, hit that subscribe button. All right. And bell notification to know every time we post. Not only post and go live, but Sarah, we got shorts. You've been working on some shorts, posting those from TikTok, and we're gaining some followers. So go check those out as well. Follow us on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at Patty Pitts and at SMarshXO. Follow me on Instagram, because I use it more than you, at Patty Pitts, and TikTok, No Nights Off Show. All right, we're closing in on 1,000. I think we're closing in on 1,000. So make that happen, so we can go live on TikTok here for our shows. So we'll see you guys on Thursday. Thank you for tuning in. God bless. Remember that you could do it. Just do it. I'm done trying. Just do it. We'll see you next time.